Right, well, we've moved on now. In the last video I was beginning to put in the small branches, and as you can see, with a bit of time lapse, now we've got a lot more done. If anything, I would say that these are a little bit too stiff, and I need to break them up a bit. And you can remember, you can take paint out as well as put it in. So if something is a bit too strong and you need to lighten it, just by using fresh water and blotting, you can knock back the colour and make it less obvious. So the whole idea is to try and make the thing feel natural. And just to reiterate what I was saying about going over the top of and cutting back and things, is to don't be scared to go across what you've already painted. Otherwise you end up with something that's too much like fingers sticking up in the air, you know, like this. So you can change and alter and add until to your heart's content, till you feel that you've got the feeling that you want. And this nice sweeping motion, these trees, winter trees, and to come down in your painting, you know, don't just go upwards and across, and try and make the whole thing feel like it actually exists, rather than is an artificial image of something. And as you get to the edges, you try and do finer strokes, keep them, let your hand sort of feel what you're doing, you know, and putting them in. And again, as I say, if it's difficult going off one direction because you can't, if you're right-handed or left-handed, then turn your board around and just make it easier for yourself. Okay, and when you get to the edges of the branches, you should have lots of little fine ones, and you can wisp with the brush, just put little marks, you know, don't sort of do solid lines, just flick and move, and it will give the impression that there's more there than you've actually put in. And you can work your way round doing that. I'm using a lighter brown colour now, not the stronger colour we had in the middle of the tree. And you can keep going until you're happy, really, till it feels right for you. Okay, I'm going to move on now, because there's other things you need to do with this picture. I'll just put that back in the right place. Okay, so what about all the rest of this painting? Well, first of all, just before we leave the trees, it is possible to put leaves in, but obviously this is a winter tree, so you're not going to fill it with green leaves. It would look ridiculous, to be honest. But if you just get a bit of colour on your brush and suggest that there may be a few leaves hanging on for grim death to the last of the branches. If it's a summer tree you're doing, then you could do this a lot more. And in fact, some old brushes where they've got lots of bristles on them, you could almost stipple something like this, but with a flatter end. You could actually pick up some paint and stipple, and I've seen paintings done that way. It can look a little bit artificial if you've got a repeat pattern from the brush all over the tree. If anyone can hear any dogs barking in the distance, it's my four friends who are sitting outside on the yard, barking at every car that comes past. So they're guarding the place, so I can't complain too much. So you can go on doing that and adding leaves. I'm not going to spend hours doing this because we'll waste video time. So don't forget some around the edges, but also some in the centres where they would actually be nearer you. You know, they would be in front of the main stems of the trees. The other thing is that you need to work on this ground now, where you were doing the finger technique to get these stalks. First of all, you could work towards the base of this tree, and don't do anything too obvious. just suggest that there might be undergrowth, and you can dab your paint. Hardly any water on my brush, it's just paint. You're trying to confuse the eye into believing that it's looking at some undergrowth around the bottom of the trees, and you know, you can sort of do fine lines like that, curling over amongst them as well. So you've got a bit of a mix. You've got your white lines that you started with, you've got little dabs to suggest growth, and then you've got these little fine tendrils that are coming out. You know, shows up more here. You can see where this bit of the picture where there's been no paint applied really, it gives a sheen to the whole water behind. If you'd filled in the whole water completely, then it will look less fresh. So that needs to be done. So you're basically fiddling now. You're just adding little marks to bring it to life, you know, to make it more realistic. If you, for instance, wanted to put in a fence here, if you did a dead straight fence, it would look terrible. But you know, you could actually, much as you did these stems of the tree, you could put in a strong colour, then wash your brush and just take it down the outside. Have them leaning, don't have them all vertical, okay, and then lose them into the undergrowth. And then obviously you need to join them up. Well, you could have a post there, or you could just draw a little suggested bit of wire that's old and it's got twisted and is, you know, and then it disappears down into the undergrowth. Okay, and if when you're drawing it, don't do solid lines. If you break it in little places, I don't know if we can come in close and have a look at that, but you can see that there are gaps in my lines. It's always good to leave gaps, you know, because it from a distance it sort of makes things more realistic. I don't know why, but it just does. So no solid lines. You'll notice this later on if we do houses, because that's the same thing. If you put solid lines into something, then it ties it all down, makes it too stiff. So you're trying to break up the lines all the time. Even in here, you know, not all the branches are joined together really. So and then you can work at it. So you've got that feeling that, you know, there's so much going on there that you don't need loads of real detail. You just need to suggest it. You could, if you wanted, lighten up little areas by wetting it. So I'm just going to scrub some of this paint, get my tissue, and instantly I've got a path heading off, you know, across to the corner. So we're almost running out of time on this video now. So so far we've got the backgrounds, the water, the foregrounds, the trees, you know, some detail. What is there to put in? Well, you could put in some birds, or you could put a little boat in, and that's what we'll do next on the next video. So see you in a minute.